When you look at me, what do you see?
I see a paragon, a champion of the light.
What you cannot see is the burden I carry each day.
Hello guys, this is Donald's Movies, and welcome to yet another World of Warcraft lore lesson. In this video, I will be giving you the lore of Maraad, or Vindicator Maraad, who is one hell of a confusing character, and until recently, he was pretty much a nobody in the game. I mean, don't get me wrong, he was still kinda important in the lore, he had some minor roles in the comics and all of that, but in the game, he was just kind of a regular NPC who didn't really have all that much of a story to him, and most people remember him as the guy from the Burning Crusade cinematic, but there wasn't really all that much important stuff about him. And now in Warlords of Draenor, he has developed a lot more until his death, which happens kinda surprisingly fast. So let's not waste any more time and let's just get into his actual story. So, as we knew before, and now from the Lords of War video, Maraad was on Draenor before it was destroyed, and he played an important role in the entire thing. Now, when the orcs were corrupted by the Burning Legion, and they made a massive assault on the Shattered City, Maraad was there, on top of the wall. He witnessed terrible acts of brutality as his people were slain like it was nothing at the hands of the orcish horde. Meanwhile, he received the order to take the last refugees to safety, so that the same thing doesn't happen to them. And of course, he obeyed the order and was leading them until he ran into a couple of orcs. Now he went all emotional and the anger inside him got the better of him, and he told the refugees to take the path alone as it is safe and that he will be right there. Meanwhile, he ran rampant as he slaughtered the orcs, although the one who he saw below him before while he was on the wall made a dent in his hammer that is still there even today. Now once he was finished with killing the orcs, he ran to the refugees only to realize that the path wasn't safe and that the light wasn't with them, and thus he fell into great depression and kind of forsaking the light. Now another thing that also happened on Draenor is that his sister was captured by Gul'dan in order to be used as an experiment. He used her and an orc warrior in order to make Garona half-orcan, whom he later enhanced in order to become older. Now she was a mix between a Draenei and an orc, but surprisingly enough resembled a human, and thus the orcs thought she was like gross and all that. She was also beat into the Shadow Council through magic as well. Now, Maraad didn't really know anything about Garona until he met Khadgar, who filled him in with all the information of what happened to her from the moment she passed through the Dark Portal to the end of the Second War. Now, on the completely other side, as explained in the comics, she was corrupted by Cho'Gall, who used the same spell that Gul'dan used on her before to force her to do things against her will. Now, he ordered her to go to the peace summit that was happening in Terramore with Rhaegar and Troll and Garrosh and Varian, and he told her to kill Varian Vryn and also Anduin and Troll as well. But Varian was like the main target, so she had to get him. Now she was captured in the end by Jaina Proudmoore, but Maraad secretly freed her and thus explained to her that he is her uncle, and she also told her what happened to her mother or his sister. And later on, he became the founding member of the new Council of Tirisfal, even though that kinda didn't last long as people just kinda went their separate ways. And he also began to teach Medan the ways of the light because, I mean, after all, he's the son of his sister. Now those events kinda happened a bit before the Scourge attack, and once the entire artist thing happened, he assisted the Alliance in Wrath of the Lich King in the fight against the Lich King, as he was stationed aboard the Skybreaker, the Alliance gunship, and he also served as a Vindicator in the Valiant's expedition. Now he only came back to Azeroth once the Cataclysm began, and he was kinda surprised to see the human refugees in Exodar came there because of the shattering thing, like the entire world being destroyed. And he was also surprised to realize that Belen refused to meet with anyone in weeks. Now the situation was dire because Exodar, their city, is actually a spaceship, and they crashed there before the Burning Crusade, and pretty much their original plan was to fix it and get out of there, but the things were a bit different as they joined the Alliance and then they were involved in a lot of things. They helped the Alliance and a lot of things happened there, so they had a few choices: either travel the universe and find other worlds, go back to Outland and repair it and help the lost souls who are still there, or they can help the Alliance and stay on Azeroth. Now they finally decided to actually go back to Outland, and just as they were about to go, the human refugees started to riot, and just as it got pretty bad, Velen finally came in, stopped the fight, and said his final decision. His decision was that they're going to stay on Azeroth, and no one would actually defy him except Maraad, who stepped in and said that he wanted to go back to Outland as that is where their actual fight is and they have no place in Azeroth. And then after that, Velen explained that their fight is pretty much everywhere and that they have an important role in Azeroth and that Azeroth needs them now more than ever, because he needs to prepare them for the final battle against the Shadow and that final army of the light and all that. In a sense, it's pretty much a hint for the final Burning Legion invasion that is going to happen probably sometimes in the future. No one really knows what it's about, but it's been mentioned for quite some time now, probably 4 or 5 years, and I feel like it will be like the final Burning Legion invasion. Later on, Maraad made an appearance in a short story called The Untamed Valley, which happens after the Siege of Orgrimmar as he is transporting an orc war criminal. The story, in my opinion, isn't really all that interesting. I mean, after all, it's a short story, it doesn't really have all that much lore or significance, but I will link it in the description below if you want to read it and see what's going on, as it is free on the official World of Warcraft website. Now, after that, the Iron Horde began its march on Azeroth as Garrosh escaped and all that. And as explained in the Lords of War miniseries thing, now Maraad met with King Varian Vryn, who was not exactly certain that he could stand against the threat killed his father and pretty much completely obliterated Stormwind in the past. And then Maraad pretty much told him his story and told him that he knows all these warlords and that they are not invincible, and that he needs to sign the declaration of war on the Iron Horde and that he will be the first one to stand with him and gladly give his life. After that, Varian agreed and they went to war with the Iron Horde. Now their first destination was the Blasted Lands as the Iron Horde was pushing, and after defeating their defenses, Maraad together with Khadgar and many heroes of Azeroth, which pretty much includes the players, pushes through the portal in order to stop the invasion. And that is pretty much when the entire Tanaan Jungle Starting Zone event happens. And through unified efforts, the initial Iron Horde attack is defeated, or at least stopped, and the portal is destroyed in the Tanaan Jungle, and thus the Iron Horde invasion is kinda stopped, or at least paused for the moment. Now they escaped in the last moment as the Iron Horde was chasing him, and they reached the Shadowmoon Valley, where Maraad works with Akama in order to combat the Shadowmoon clan. Now this is where it kinda gets a bit confusing, as characters such as Velen or Drektar or even Akama are the alternate universe ones, and the ones we know are actually still in Azeroth, while Maraad is a bit of a different story as he's from our universe and there is like no alternate universe Maraads, so it does get a bit confusing, but hopefully it shouldn't be too confusing. Later on, when Ner'zhul called upon the powers of the Darkstar and broke the ancient laws, Velen sacrificed himself in order to purify it, leading to his death. Although do keep in mind that this is the alternate universe Velen, and that our Velen is still alive. And this sacrifice gives Maraad and Yrel a chance to lead the defense of Kerabor, and they succeed in it. Later on, Maraad helps the expedition in Gorgrond and later on in Teledor, which kinda brings back dark memories of what happened before and how his people were pretty much slaughtered. And in the end, he dies during the first battle for Shatterat by defending Yrel with the last remnants of his powers. Now this is where it gets a bit confusing and where it's not really clear what's going on. And there are a lot of speculations going around, like the tinfoil hat speculations. And it is confirmed that Blizzard originally planned for Yrel and Maraad to be like a romantic relationship, but due to Yrel being like a strong character and people like protesting about it, they kinda stepped back from it. But it turns out they still kinda have a close bond and they're still kinda together. And that is the end of Maraad's story. It is a bit sad what actually happened and that Maraad actually died, like not the alternate universe one, but the actual Maraad died. But in the end, he kinda fulfilled his wish and he died saving the city he failed to save once before, which haunted him for years. Alright, that is all I have for this lore lesson. Thanks a lot for watching, and don't forget to leave your feedback on what you would like to see next. Also, don't forget to like, favorite and subscribe, as it really helps out the channel and keeps these videos going. And also check out my Twitch TV stream, as I will be streaming there quite seriously after the new year. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you next time.